3 weeks from 3 weeks from last Friday.
Okay.
So 2.5 weeks or something.
I'd like to call the Community and Business Relations Committee to order at 6:52 p.m. We have one item on our agenda this evening, and it is to consider policy number 37, signs, objects, and other communicative structures on public property. As you'll recall, this has been before us many times. There's a memo in our packet that summarizes the previous discussions. And at our last meeting, we had a discussion around whether we would follow kind of the federal case law around allowing secular items, which includes a Christmas tree, or whether we would include language that would allow all secular symbols except for Christmas trees. So I really appreciate you bringing both versions, because once I see it all in writing, I realize I personally, option A is straightforward, and the second one looks very, very cumbersome. But anyway, I don't usually share my opinion first, but I was just going to do that. So now I'll open it up.
I was going to say that I agree with you. I think option A is just so much cleaner, because I think if you get into defining what a Christmas tree is, I mean, you can start to even kind of pick at that, things like. But thank you, Tom. You did a very nice job, I should say.
I agree.
If anybody drafted this, evergreen, decorated lights and ornaments, or other stuff. I mean, it just gets very difficult to define. The one thing that I was thinking as I read this, we don't have a village. There's a tree that the bid sets up. We don't have one via the village. I was thinking that maybe maybe that last sentence in option B we tack on to option A. That way, if there are massive changes that the village has to its decorations, it would come to us and we would be aware of it and be able to provide feedback. So that gives us some visibility into if there's something that we feel like we need to talk about further in the holiday decorations that goes up, we can do it. But it also kind of preserves this secular, non-secular distinction. It's clean. I like option A.
Okay, I have to find the last sentence that you're referring to here.
I can read it out loud too.
Sure.
It says the village manager, when necessary, shall inform the village board of any changes with the installation of holiday decorations.
I'm fine with that, to inform, it doesn't say required to, or it
Correct.
doesn't have to come to, I trust that you guys were hired and do the job that you're supposed to do, so I'm completely fine with
So it'd be any big, any significant changes, we would, let the board know, and then if you wanted to make a decision to talk about that any further as a collective board, you'd have, that'd be up to you, but we would just kind of give you a heads up for that sentence. We'd give you inform you in advance of any changes.
Yeah, which I think is good. I mean, I think that's good. That allows us to have some visibility into it. And again, option A is just a kind of a clean. It's clean and it aligns with some of the research you did with the municipalities. So I'm good with that one minor change. I'm good with.
Okay.
I would like to say this process has been very informative, and it did involve a lot of stakeholders. And one thing that we might want to do in addition to making this recommendation to the full board is that we might, and I know we've done proclamations and other things, but maybe we want to recognize the hard work and how, that this is a difficult issue and that we are open and welcome to all, people of all nationalities, color, religions, etc. And I know we've done that in the past, but it might be a good time to remind our municipality of that as well. Not required, no, we're not going to put it in any kind of motion.
Well, to that point, I was thinking that I thought that the letter that was submitted to us by the HRC, Human Relations Commission, was so articulate and so reasonable in that it extends a request, right? So just because we have this policy doesn't mean that we have to put up a Christmas tree. You know what I mean? It's allowed by federal case law, but it doesn't mean that we have to, right? And it also, so I think that it would be fair in some way to commemorate that this was discussed by many stakeholders and that there was some consideration given around the significance significance of secular, non-secular, specifically what defines a Christmas tree, so that future boards and administrations just understand that there was a history here, you know, and that, you know, so it doesn't sort of erase the discussion.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it memorializes it in some ways by including that cover letter,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the board, I can just include, first of all, their recommendation in the materials, but then anything that you wanted to note, recognizing the HRC for, and thanking them for those, you know, we can certainly do.
But kind of moving forward, once this policy is in a book somewhere, how, and the current HRC has moved on, and the current,
Right.
you know, staff and board and all that, but some of the residents are still.
Another thing we could do is just add a note at the bottom, say, see, you know, minutes from, and then date the HRC meeting that they provided the recommendation for more information or something like that.
Mhm.
We could do something like that. Because those are, you know, those are readily available for anyone that wants to see those
Okay,
minutes.
great.
So we could do that.
Yeah.
And in a way, the movement of that last sentence into the option A is a recognition of the fact that, you know, there are changes to what we're doing as a village. And we do want to have that open discussion, pulling all the key stakeholders, because one thing we did learn through this process is that people are interested in this issue, people are passionate about this issue, and, you know, in the event that we change our decorations, we want to kind of see if it was something we need to discuss further with the community.
And it's also, well, it's perpetually a timely issue, but especially with a lot of the discussions going on in not only the state of Wisconsin, but across the nation regarding changing some of the logos for sports teams, especially those that are offensive to many in the Native American community. It's just, this isn't exactly the same, but it is. I mean, you know, I can understand how some might, well, I don't really want to go into everything here, but yeah, this is, I think it was a really, I'm really glad that the HRC was able to put the work together and had those really tough discussions, because that was very, I learned a lot, and I know a lot of people, you know, were able to get involved in that as well, not just those on the HRC, but I really appreciate all that work, and that not have been easy.
I have a question. Did you want to do?
I have like a persnickety lawyer point when I probably post your question because it's kind of small at scope.
Okay, forget it. My question is, if, for example, say right now we just have one tree that gets lit, that has lights on it. What if in a future decade, they want to put wrap tree lights around the trees at Hubbard Park, like, you know, Russ, the Hubbard Park Lodge operator, wanted to create, like, you know, just a lighted grove of trees or something like that. This wouldn't prevent anyone from doing that, right?
Right, based on the policy, yeah, we would still, operationally, the village could make that determination.
Okay.
You know, I think with adding Trustee Warren's comment in there, if we're making a significant change on decorations, on holiday decorations, that we, you know, that we would inform the board on such. But based on the policy, yeah, it is, that would definitely be secular, a secular decoration, so they would be allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Warren?
My perspective, lawyer point is, you might want to, as defined by federal case law, I think that sounds right to me. I don't know if we checked with Nate. But
Nathan actually provided that language.
right.
I would not have thought of that on my own, so.
Because I was thinking there are state cases, but it's a federal issue, so
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, well, there was a few terms that we were going back and forth on, but that, in the end, that's what he recommended, so.
Okay.
So we'll go with that.
He is the expert on that. So.
Yeah, back to the HRC's recommendation though, the main thing that they emphasized was Christmas trees. So, you know, moving forward, I think even though, you know, that the village under this policy is allowed to have Christmas trees, because technically they are secular, I think that's something that operationally, internally, we'll certainly consider when it comes to, you know, moving forward. I think, you know, with this, you know, we'll talk about, you know, the status quo and then moving forward internally from an operational operational perspective, but this gives us pretty clear distinction of what is and isn't allowed.
Yeah, so that would be the final question. Does this policy make it resolve the issue that staff had as far as having to bring everything to the board? Now you can operate a lot more efficiently with this policy, which are worded.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us direction.
Okay.
It gives us direction, which that's nice. I think if we get a request from, I mean, if you remember how it all started, it was a request from a Jewish chapter wanting to have a public menorah. So, this policy now gives us some direction towards that. But I think if there was certainly a discussion about, like if someone requested to have a Christmas tree on public property, I think that would be something that, based on this policy and understanding what the HRC recommendation would be, I think we would inform the board based on, and right? And then I think we would, talk to the board to identify a process and how to proceed with that. Just understanding, that would be a change in how we are currently doing our holiday decorations and understanding what the HRC recommendation would be. Did you echo that? Okay.
So it's basically as far as we can go right now.
Yeah, and yeah, for me, I would, certainly be content, with that moving forward. I can't speak on behalf of the HRC, because it's slightly different what their recommendation would be, but I think with them knowing that we would still know the recommendation of the policy, I think they would appreciate that.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's a way to do that.
So
Yes,
I can make a motion.
great.
Right here, I move to support policy number 37, signs, objects, and other communicative structures on public property, with option A and the last sentence from option B, and approve the policy to be considered by the village board.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. So we'll have that on, probably the next board,
Next board,
right?
yeah.
I don't see why we wouldn't, so. February 17th.
Okay. So with that, I will move to adjourn the community business relations at 7:04. All those in favor?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.